Hello all, Rick here with a lore coverage and review of Episode 7 of Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Erigah. The name is taken from the Breen blood bounty, say that 3 times fast, that is on La'ak's head, and it delves deep into the tensions between the Breen Imperium and the Federation. It's telling that the recaps for the story so far pretty much glossed over Part 6, further solidifying my opinion that the prior episode was pretty unimportant in the overall plot. So, in terms of more Breen lore, we learn that their society is currently split into 6 differing factions in the wake of the passing of their emperor. The Imperium rose in the wake of the Confederacy at some point between their last appearance in the 24th century and now. However, the titles of Primarch are still used, now to denote the leaders of these factions, each vying for control of the Imperium. La'ak, as a legitimate blood heir to the line, makes for a useful person to have on a Primarch's side, hence the severity of the bounty on him. The Federation has had no contact with the Breen since before the burn, so about 120 years ago, but in that time relations have not improved. The Breen have always been antagonistic to the UFP, allying against them in the Dominion War, which gets several references in the episode. These differences can be ascribed to a fundamental difference in psychology according to La'ak. We see some of this play out with the negotiations. The Primarch says that motivation does not matter, only the outcome, whereas the UFP tends to weigh such factors into consideration in various matters. The UFP certainly remains aware of how dangerous the Breen can be, with several references to the last time they made an incursion into the UFP space. They destroyed a city. This could be referring to the attack during the Dominion War, where the Breen arrived over Earth to strike San Francisco directly. This was an act to instill fear in Starfleet, showing how far the Breen would go. Even though they lost the battle, they severely wounded Starfleet, and they also blew up the Defiant. However, they never mentioned the time or date of this event, and it would be hyperbole to say the destruction of Starfleet HQ on Earth equates the destruction of an entire city. So they could be referring to another point we have yet to see. Suffice to say, there is a lot of time Discovery skipped with its jump to the 32nd century. We know that at some point in the 32nd century, not even too long ago, they occupied an area on Kelleran as a military base during their faction conflict, likely in a time when the Federation was still working overtime in the wake of the burn and member worlds fell away from their protection. We also learn that the Breen's preference for refrigerated suits is a biological bonus that they give themselves. While their planet is quite temperate, as described by Wayun, their refrigeration suits allow them to maintain a higher immune response and rate of healing. This stems from their biology and adds context to an open lore contradiction. There certainly is a lot of demystifying of the Breen this season, and while I can see why some people might not want that, I'm not of the same mind. The mysteries of the Breen, to me at least, were never on par with something like the origin of the Borg, which is something I don't want answered. But yeah, because of that, I get the sentiment. Moving on from the Breen now, we get the deciphering of the next clue's location, a Beta Z book called Labyrinths of the Mind, published by Marina Derricks in 2371, containing something to do with the last fragment, and there is a copy in the Eternal Galerian Archive, an independent library station, currently in the Badlands. The minute I saw orange plasma storms, I called it because where else would you find a long-lasting turbulent plasma storm-ridden field place in Star Trek? Except maybe the Briar Patch, but the Badlands is more commonly featured. Looking forward to seeing it. The Badlands does make for an excellent hiding place, if incredibly dangerous to navigate on a temperamental day, so I wonder if the library it's sheltering there is doing so in order to evade those who would attempt to plunder or simply ruin its collection of knowledge. Oh, give me lore extracts from that place, please. We also get the return of Commander Nunn. The Barzan originally served on Pike's tenure of the Enterprise and transferred to Discovery in Season 2 as the Chief of Security. It's good to see her still around and operating as an officer in security, but we don't get a huge amount of time to reminisce. It's all on the clock for her. Rayner continues to opt for the blunt and brash approach in all things, which is on character for him, and while I do find it pretty one-note, again they stop short of having him being insubordinate and even see him acknowledge his delivery of his concerns was inappropriate, even though he stands by them. He does a good job of balancing his character. After all, while he skews towards the at-any-cost mentality, he respects the structure of Starfleet more than a younger Burnham did. She's already pointed out that she got a second chance and outed this as a deciding factor in his recruitment, so I'm enjoying this parallel. Book 2 has some more to do this episode, with the focus of his arc literally being, I need something to do, please. Turns out having an empath trying to decipher a Betazoid puzzle is useful, and he does consistently seem to be the only one who can get through to Morr, mostly because Morr seems to only really listen to him. Book's call to locate her by asking if anyone has accessed Discovery's schematics was a good shout. Morr is on unfamiliar territory and looking for an out. I didn't mean that to rhyme. Speaking of, Morr sees Lark perish this episode, and she reveals that they were married in secret. This gives her a small amount of pull with the Primarch, which she uses to join them while offering the secrets that she knows of the progenitor tech. Whether she did this for self-preservation or to prevent conflict between the Breen and Starfleet, we're yet to find out, but let's be honest, her cornered animal instincts probably are solely looking out for her. However, I feel there might be more going on with her motivations now, but it's hard to tell considering she's probably feeling clouded by Lark's passing, and resurrecting him would be her higher focus. Overall, definitely an episode to push the plot forwards, and I think this pace will be maintained until the ending. In the past, it's about now that Discovery begins to fumble its payoff, in my opinion. So we'll see if this season breaks that mould. That does sound dour, but to be honest, I have enjoyed Season 5 the most so far, and would like to see it end on a high. With much to wrap up on, I think the show is doing a solid effort in maintaining its plot threads and not overtaxing itself with extraneous fluff, so let's see if they can bring it home as we enter the final stretch. 3 more to go. I've been Rick, thanks for watching this review and lore analysis of Episode 7 Erigah. Until the next one, goodbye.